Well, folks, it looks like we survived week one of the inauguration of the man with dementia, Mr. Joe Biden, 46th President of the United States. And I've been watching news, I have to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but Joe Biden's presidency is turning out to be a complete disaster. It's a complete disaster. This guy is suffering from dementia. He doesn't know where he is half the time. He's older than dirt. And he's shutting down the Keystone XL pipeline, putting a lot of people out of work. He's got Native American tribes mad at him. He's banning travel from Europe for whatever reason. The unions are mad at him. Now, you may hate Trump. You may think that Trump is scum. But at least Trump tells you what he thinks. What you see is what you get. And you know what? I will vote for that any day over some pasty-face boat shoe guy named Joe Biden. I just will. Call me crazy, but I will. And this whole business about having an RD behind your name, what does that prove? What does that mean? Doesn't mean anything to me. Here's an idea. Why don't you drop the RD behind your name and actually run on what you believe in? Have some guts. Be like Trump. Say it like it is. I will vote for you if you say it like it is. So we got to talk about what happened January 6th. By the way, am I going to get banned from YouTube for using the word boat shoe? Because we have to address this issue head on. Twitter banning the president from tweeting, YouTube taking down videos because Google says so, because Google doesn't want anybody talking about the results of the 2020 election. Well, first of all, Google and YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, New York Times, Washington Post, I'm calling all you cats out. All you cats out. As long as I'm not engaging in criminal activity, i.e. telling people to shout fire in a crowded theater, or telling people to go out there and commit violence against other people, then you have no constitutional right to tell me what I can or can't say in a video. Because in your hurry to ban the president from tweeting, to take all these apps from your app store or shut down sites like Parler, you forgot that the American citizen is protected by the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, freedom of speech. And nowhere in that statement regarding freedom of speech does it say, unless Google or YouTube says so. Doesn't say that. As long as I'm not engaging in criminal activity, you have no say in what I say on a video, period. And you do not control my wallet. You do not control my wallet. So don't be surprised when people are leaving your websites in droves because you're trying to stop them from tweeting or posting videos to YouTube. Or you're not going to do business with them because they may have supported Trump or they're conservatives. I will trust a conservative or a Trump supporter. Hell, I'll even trust a white supremacist. It's going to shock a lot of you, but I would trust a white supremacist over any ultra-leftist any day of the week. You want to know why? Because you people at Facebook, Google, Twitter, YouTube, the New York Times, Washington Post want to call us the insurrectionists, the neo-Nazis, the fascists, the white supremacists. But you're suppressing speech, and you were applauding BLM and Antifa when they were burning down Minneapolis, Seattle, Portland, Atlanta. And don't deny that you were. No, you're the neo-Nazis. You're the fascist. You're the insurrectionist. You're the supremacist because you think you're better than the rest of us. And guess what? You can find videos here on YouTube and by searching Google that talk about the riots in Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle, and Atlanta. Imagine that. Unless you've decided to take those videos down. So no, you do not control what I say in my own video. If I'm not breaking the law, then you need to butt out YouTube. You need to butt out Google. It's time to grow up. If people want to talk about what happened during the 2020 election, they have every right to do so, and you can't stop them. Like I said, you may think you can ban the president from tweeting or take down a video, but you do not control my wallet. So I got 4 articles to share with you about what happened January 6th, which, as it turns out, this was a setup from the get-go. A setup to oust Trump and get rid of his supporters for good. But you guys at Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the New York Times, Washington Post weren't relying on the fact that Trump supporters were going to fight back. Have you not learned anything about Trump in the past 4 or 5 years? Now, have you seen this one? This is great. Remember I got to mention this because this is funny as hell. Remember during the last couple of months of Trump's presidency, Joe Biden decided to have this office of the president-elect. He was coming out there every day doing these pressers, trying to act presidential. Well, Trump has now formed the office of the former president of the United States. Fantastic. Genius. Pure genius. So what Trump needs to do, and I think he's going to do this, he needs to go out there every day, hold pressers, and hold Biden accountable. You see, because Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google, you name it, the rules of the game have changed. No, not for us, for you, because you see, now you're working on our turf, on our terms. Got it? You got 4 years to prove yourself. So the whole idea, because Trump is no longer in office, this whole idea that somehow we're beholden to you no longer applies. It no longer applies. You may think it does because you're a big bad tech and you're going to go and take down any website you disagree with because they support Trump, or you might take down a video because people want to talk about the 2020 election. But like I said, the rules of the game have changed. For you, not for us. You're working on our turf now, bud. So get with the program. No, we're not going to be afraid of you. And I think January 6th proved that. What happened after January 6th proved that. Trump supporters, people who love this country, we're not going away. We're patriots. We may or may have not voted for Trump. But like Trump, we love this country. And we're not going to let you stand in the way of that. I've talked about that numerous times. Do you honestly think Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, those of you at the New York Times, Washington Post, talking about myself here, do you think that somebody who has been flat broke twice, who had his apartment building burned down, who's had a near-death experience, you think I'm going to be afraid of big tech? Hell no. So as far as I'm concerned, you can stick it where the sun don't shine. How do you like that, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, New York Times, Washington Post? So let's get into these 4 articles. Because what really happened January 6th? Now you got to take a look at the timeline. Because according to the timeline, Trump started speaking roughly about noon. And he did not end his speech till 1:11 p.m. Now, according to local authorities in D.C., the first group of protesters actually arrived, I believe, between 11:30 a.m. and 12:40 p.m. Well, Trump supporters are not known to immediately leave a Trump speech within 5 or 10 minutes of Trump speaking. They'll generally wait till the end of the speech. Now, they might leave a few minutes before he finishes to beat the crowd. But generally speaking, Trump supporters will stay for the entire speech. And a lot of people believe that Trump was at the Capitol building giving his speech. That's not the case. He was at the Ellipse, 45 minutes away. It's a 45-minute walk from the Ellipse to the Capitol building. Now, you also have a large crowd. So you have to add extra 15, 20, possibly 30 minutes to get from the Ellipse to the Capitol building fighting this crowd. So if Trump did not finish his speech until 1:11 p.m., then that means that the first wave of Trump supporters, who, like I said, are not known to leave a Trump speech within 5 or 10 minutes of him speaking, would have not arrived at the Capitol building until at least 1:56 p.m., possibly 2:15 or 2:30, just based on the timeline, given the large crowd and how long it takes to go from the Ellipse to the Capitol building, 45 minutes. Like I said, add an extra 15, 20, possibly 30 minutes. This has all been confirmed, Google, Facebook, YouTube, by local authorities in D.C. And did you know this? That the Pentagon refused to let the National Guard at the U.S. Capitol. 100% true. 100% true. In fact, that was on the news today. on both CNN and Fox. Research it for yourself if you don't believe me. So here's the first article. This is from Joshua White. It was published on January 7th, so the day after. Title of the article, quote-unquote Viking who stormed the Capitol building previously photographed at BLM rally wearing the same outfit. The storming of U.S. Capitol building today is now being pounced upon by the left-wing media to demonize Trump supporters as violent terrorists. Yet the same media described Antifa/BLM violence as mostly peaceful when those left-wing actors were seen throwing Molotov cocktails and wielding blinding lasers against law enforcement. 100% true. And guess what? You can find videos of this on YouTube and by searching Google. Imagine that. Article goes on to say, update, we have now confirmed that the storming of the Capitol building was initiated by left-wing provocateurs who met with Capitol Police yesterday and planned the event. A photo has emerged of the quote-unquote Viking individual who led the storming action today, and they've got two photos here. One showing this gentleman at the BLM rally in June in Arizona, and the other at the D.C. rally on January 6th. Now, this protester is so stupid. He is so dumb. Because not only is he wearing the same type of outfit, he's got this hat with horns, with fur hanging down. It's got face paint, but different type of face paint in D.C. than at the BLM rally. But you know it's the same guy because he's not wearing a shirt underneath, and he's got a tattoo on his stomach by his rib cage. Seriously, how stupid are you? So this backs up what was released by the FBI about this Jonathan Earl Sullivan fellow, 26 years old, claiming that he was at the Capitol to document what was going on, photograph things, and yet he was the one caught on video saying, let's burn this blank down. Trump supporters don't loot, riot, and burn cities down. You people at Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, should know that. You were covering these stories in Minneapolis, Seattle, Portland, Atlanta, weren't you? Now, they also have here a poster. I'm not making this up, folks. This is a poster. Actual poster from Antifa that was circulated in late October, just before the election. This is what it says verbatim. Election day nears, comrades, prepare to defend your rights. Antifa comrades, on November 4th, don't forget to disguise yourselves as patriots/Trump supporters, wear MAGA hats, USA flags, 3 3/4 insignias. A convincing police uniform is even better. And down in the bottom right corner it says, this way police and patriots responding to us won't know who their enemies are. Well, what do you know? This backs up what has been mentioned by the FBI and what was reported by local law enforcement in D.C. Now, would it make sense for Trump supporters who have always supported law enforcement, who believe in law and order, who support the military, would it really make sense for them, and they love this country, would it make sense for them to storm the U.S. Capitol building, break windows, disrupt a session of Congress? No. So here's this article here from ABC News, and you can see the bias in this article. Title of the article, False Equivalency Between Black Lives Matter and Capitol Siege, Experts Advocate. It's kind of a weird title. And below it says this, comparisons are quote-unquote absurd, they say. This is by Carrie Brantley Jones, and this came out on January 16th. It says here, fire exchanges took place when House lawmakers convened Wednesday to impeach President Donald Trump for a historic second time, just 1 week after a mob of his supporters attacked the Capitol grounds. As Democrats railed against the insurrectionists, some Republicans repeatedly drew comparisons between last summer's Black Lives Matter protest and the Capitol siege of January 6th. Goes on to say, comparisons between Black Lives Matter and what happened on Capitol Hill are false equivalencies. Really? Said several experts and advocates who spoke with ABC News. And this is in quotes, they lit actual flames. This is something that a Republican representative said in the House of Representatives during one of their sessions. During Wednesday's hearing, several Congress members made impassioned cases for and against impeaching President Trump. During these speeches, some lawmakers denounced what they called the white supremacy among Capitol rioters, while others accused Democrats of hypocrisy by supporting Black Lives Matter protests but condemning Trump supporters. Where's the white supremacy? This is something that has always baffled me. You people, Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you name it, New York Times, Washington Post, you all want to talk about white supremacy. Please show me a white supremacist that you have seen walk the streets of New York. Please show me a white supremacist you've seen go in and get coffee. Has a white supremacist thrown a burning cross on your lawn? Seriously, folks, they want to talk about white supremacy and how white supremacists were at the Capitol building. Yeah, you want to throw QAnon in there? QAnon, by the way, is this far, far right group. I mean, they're very French. They are so French, they are in the next ballpark. And trust me, Trump supporters do not associate with QAnon. Now, you may have people who go to the QAnon website who believe in these far-out theories who may support Trump, but they are such a small percentage of the actual number of people who support Trump. 99.9% of Trump supporters would not associate with these people. It's like when they talk about white supremacy and the Proud Boys. You people are such idiots. At Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, New York Times, Washington Post, you don't even know that the head chairman of Proud Boys International is Enrique Tarrio, who is Cuban American. White supremacy, my ass. See, they're just using that as code language to get back at Trump supporters. That's what it is. Because they hate Trump supporters, they hate Trump. You know what it is? They're jealous. They're jealous of everything you guys have out there. These people who work for they may not say this, okay, because they look pretty on TV. They're smiling. But these people, they're miserable. Deep down, they're miserable. They are envious of what you have. They may have all this money, but they see that you don't have the money that they have. You don't have the prestige or let's say the media passes that they have. But somehow you're happy. Well, we don't need a media pass to be happy. And if that's the way that you look at life, I remember hearing a comedian years ago who said something very profound. He said, pig slop is pig slop, sweetheart, even if they're feeding it to you out of a silver bowl. Just remember that. Just remember that. So here's what this article goes on to say. Talks about Maxine Waters. You know how reliable she is. But I'll get to that here in a moment. In her speech, well, here it is. In her speech during the hearing, Representative Maxine Waters, Democrat California, of course, condemned the president for radicalizing his supporters and inciting them to willingly join with white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and paramilitary extremists in a siege on the United States Capitol building. Ms. Waters, please come to my channel here on YouTube and show me anywhere in Trump's speech where he talked about insurrection, where he specifically instructed his supporters to go to the Capitol building, storm the Capitol building, break windows, disrupt sessions of Congress. You're not going to find it. Same for those of you who work at the New York Times, Washington Post, or for Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Like I said, I'm calling all you cats out. I'm not afraid to do it. No evidence here, by the way. No evidence of white supremacists that were at the rally January 6th. Goes on to say, in a video statement released following the vote, the president condemned last week's violence, which he did, but did not take responsibility for his role in the events. Because Trump had nothing to do with what was going on at the Capitol building. This was a setup from the get-go. Anybody with 2 cents worth of brains knows this, and knows that this was a tactic to get Trump. Do you think Trump is that stupid? He wants to be reelected as president, right? What was he doing for 2 months? For the past 2 months? After election night, when it didn't go his way. He was fighting tooth and nail to prove that he won. Why the hell would he sabotage his own chance of becoming president-elect again? Let's say by a slim margin, that somehow they found out something in one of these districts that wasn't right and it overturned the election. And it went to Trump. Do you think Trump is that stupid that he would instruct people to engage in insurrection at the U.S. Capitol and ruin his political career or his business career? No, I don't think so. But you people at these organizations in big tech or big media, you don't think that way. It just drives me nuts. I'm sorry, folks. It just drives me nuts. And yes, Trump did condemn the violence. Absolutely condemn the violence. So here's the next article for you. This is from John Rappaport. Now, I like this article. This is a good example of how journalism is done. It's from No More Fake News. Was the assault on the Capitol building a false flag? And John says this: the first thing you need to ask yourself, was the break-in at the Capitol while Congress was in session, holding a debate about election certification, an attempt to stop a transfer of power to Biden, or an attempt to stop the debate itself, during which legislators would have laid out evidence of fraud? The assault did achieve a stoppage of the debate, which is being carried live on television. We do know that going back months, Antifa was issuing memos to its members to appear at Trump rallies, posing as supporters of the president, wearing appropriate gear so that when Antifa caused trouble and committed violence, their actions would be blamed on Trumpers. Well, what do you know? That backs up what's been released by the FBI, what was reported by local authorities in D.C., and what we have from Fresh American News 2020, and it backs up the post that I just read to you from Antifa that they were circulating in late October just before the election. Investigative journalism, folks. So John goes on to say this. I'm not saying all the people who broke through into the Capitol today were Antifa, but their members could have led the way, stirring up anger and moving at the head of the hundreds who knocked down barriers and forced back the police. That's exactly what happened. He nailed it. That is exactly what happened. Go check this article out. Was the assault on the Capitol building a false flag? John Rappaport. Good example of real journalism. So final article is from Yahoo News, and I love this because you can tell clear bias. By the way, you know that this reporter did not do her homework because she's releasing this on the day of the incident, within hours of what happened at the U.S. Capitol. Shouldn't she have waited maybe a few more hours to actually get all the facts in before she started loading into people like Mo Brooks? Talk about that here in a sec. So this is an article by Caitlin Dixon, came out January 6th, day of. Yahoo News titled the article, Capitol Riot was false flag operation by leftist Trump backers claim with no basis. Yes, there is basis, and I just proved it to you. But, of course, Miss Dixon didn't do her homework. It says here, as an angry mob stormed the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday, vandalizing offices, occupying the House and Senate chambers, and sending legislators and staffers running for cover, several of Trump's key allies knew just where to cast the blame on the loose-knit movement of left-wing agitators known as Antifa, a favorite boogeyman of Trump and the right wing for the last several years. Well, Miss Dixon, Antifa is not a boogeyman. It's a real organization. It's not loose-knit. It's close-knit. Very well organized. Goes on to say they were undeterred by videos showing rioters in MAGA hats carrying Trump 2020 flags descending on the Capitol from a rally near the White House where Trump himself had exhorted them to disrupt the counting of electoral college votes. Electoral colleges, there you go. Maybe we should have more than one electoral college, right? So let me read this again. They were undeterred by the video showing rioters in MAGA hats carrying Trump 2020 flags descending on the Capitol from a rally near the White House where Trump himself had exhorted them to disrupt the counting of electoral college votes submitted by the states, the final step in certifying Joe Biden's victory. Now, when you're reading this, not only is this small print, but she uses these run-on sentences in this article. Very few comments. So trying to read this to you is a little difficult because she's just going on and on. I've never seen such long sentences in all my life. And she goes on to say to them, let me flip the page over here, that just showed that the insurrection was actually a false flag operation meant to embarrass the president's peaceful protesters. Or supporters, not protesters, but supporters. One of the first to push this narrative was Representative Mo Brooks, an Alabama Republican, part of a small group of Trump loyalists, who pledged to challenge the Electoral College results from several states during Wednesday's joint session of Congress in an ill-fated final attempt to undo Trump's defeat. Quote, rumor Antifa fascist in backwards MAGA hats, Brooks tweeted from the lockdown Capitol where he was taking cover from the mob. Quote, time will tell what the truth is. Now here's where Ms. Dixon slams Brooks. Yet it was Brooks himself addressing Trump supporters at the rally that morning who had dramatically removed his camouflage cap and replaced it with a bright red one emblazoned with the words Fire Pelosi and urged fellow Republicans in Congress to back the effort to overturn the election results, declaring, today is the day American patriots start taking down names and kicking ass. Well, Ms. Dixon, have you never been in a Yahoo staff meeting where you said, we're going to take names and kick ass today? Does that mean you're literally going to kick ass? No, that means you're going to go out there, do the best job you can, beat the competition, and get the story. That's exactly what it means. These people have no sense of humor. They've never heard of a figure of speech, obviously. And I love this. She goes on to educate you about who Antifa is. Antifa, which is short for anti-fascist, really refers to a loosely connected movement of militant left-wing activists who believe that using violence is justified in fighting white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and other fascists, and this group is engaging in fascist tactics themselves. Did I say fascist? Fascist tactics. Fascist. Getting tongue-tied here. Extremism experts and federal enforcement officials have made clear that the threat of violence from white supremacists and other domestic extremist groups far outweighs that posed by anti-fascist activists. Really? Really? Last time I checked, I don't remember a white supremacist burning down Minneapolis, Seattle, Portland, or Atlanta, do you? Oh, before I forget. Did you see what happened in Portland? The night of Joe Biden's inauguration. Antifa, BLM and Antifa. Come on, they're all part of the same group. They were attacking the DNC headquarters in Portland. This is how the Portland PD handled it. Attention BLM and Antifa. Attention BLM and Antifa. Please stop attacking the DNC headquarters here in Portland. Please stop engaging in criminal activity. Please stop breaking windows. If you do not stop engaging in criminal activity, attacking the DNC headquarters here in Portland and breaking windows, you will be arrested. Thank you. This is exactly how they handled it in Portland. Pardon my poor imitation. They were literally doing one of these messages through a megaphone or something like that. So, of course, she goes on here to talk about Christopher Wray and how he had testified that there was no one speaking for or to dispute the charge regarding Antifa. Well, Christopher Wray, of course, is the first person I go to whenever I have a question. Because we know the track record of the FBI in the past couple of years, right? I mean, he's the first person I'll go to if I have a question about BLM and Antifa. So I thought I'd share these articles with you today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at #JasonComposes, leave comments below. And now you can reach me at Twitter, Voice of the Composer at Twitter. Thank you for bearing with me, letting me stumble through some of these articles. Like I said, some of it's small print. So when you're reading this, sometimes you can trip over a word. And I've been working on this video for a while, so I am sorry once again for not posting in a while. But thank you for being with the channel, and I would not be here without you guys. So this is Voice of the Composer saying peace out, stay safe, everybody, and God bless this great country.